and welcome back to the Simuldub Saints, your guide to seasonal anime dubs. I'm your host, Kid, and with me as always is my trusted co-host.
Hello, I am Archangel, lover of cat girls.
And we have a very special guest today.
I don't know how special I am, but hi, I'm Wyldfyre1.
I mean, you've been in the special thanks since one.
You're very special to us in multiple senses of the word.
You're
Wild.
Also very much a friend of the podcast, man. Yeah, yes, I think that counts. You've gone out of your way to promote us. That's we love you, man.
Yeah, well, you guys are putting the good nerd word out.
We do our best.
Doing something.
Well, you've all been listening to our theme song, Wherever I Go, from friend of the podcast, Ampren. Please check out their awesome music. Link in the description.
This episode is sponsored by GM Autocannons. More about them at the end. And I should state right up front, just for legal purposes, this is a fictionalized future carryover of the real-life company. There's no such thing in real life, so, but I will talk more about that at the end. Yeah. Yeah, you didn't sue the Black Pants Legion, don't sue us. Anyway.
Before we get into the news, since while this is your first time guesting on the podcast, do you want to tell our listeners anything about yourself?
I'm Wyldfyre1. I'm a giant nerd. I have is it okay if I spot my
promote all the stuff you want, although I will give you.
I don't like to overly do it, but I have a podcast called. I have a podcast and a show called Nerds and New Sexy Entertainment on YouTube. We've been doing it for damn near 10 years.
God, yeah. I remember when you guys started. I think I was on your first couple.
Yeah, you're on. I think episode 3 or 2, somewhere around there.
Something like that. I remember when you
guys
well
in the hundreds started. Now. But yeah, I love anime. I'm a big fan of. I'm not quite as hardcore into it as these two gentlemen. But I've been a lover of anime for years, ever since, when I was in high school and it was considered taboo. Most jocks and people would look down upon people who like myself that liked to partake in the Japanimation.
The Japanimation. I remember that era.
Yep. Before they dumbed it down to anime. But
it's a good portmanteau.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. I just remember back in my day, but
back in my day when I could go pick up An America magazine.
Exactly. So I've been a big fan of anime since I was a kid, and it really, if I was to say what started me off of any type of anime, that would be, of course, Voltron.
Yep. If being technical, Voltron was my first anime. I don't count it because I didn't know any better. Because little kid go ooh cartoon.
Well, neither did I, but I just like, the colors are so vivid and it's so pretty.
Yes,
so
definitely was my first as well. So I'm right there with you. We're in the same age bracket.
Yeah, so that's I think that's good about me. Unless you have anything particular you want me to
nope, we'll give you a pretty big chance at the end to tell us all about your podcast, but it's fine that you mentioned it here, so no big deal.
Yeah, that's fine. I was leery about. I don't like pushing my shit on other people.
We'll give you the ad space though, because
you're being paid in exposure, Wild.
I just enjoy being paid in love from you guys.
That too.
Aw. Well, I'm very appreciative of you, and I've told you this, and I'm going to tell you it on the actual podcast. This podcast would not exist without you, so thanks for being here.
I like to think of myself, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but I like to think of myself as a muse. If I can do it, you can do it. That's how I think of things. Like, if you really want to do something, go shoot for your dreams. That's as lame as that sounds. I believe in it.
That's a good way to put it.
Absolutely agree, because for God knows, LK and I have no idea what we're doing with this. So
no, we don't.
It's turning out pretty okay so far. So if we can just bumble our way into this, you can start hacking away at whatever it is you want to do, and give yourself permission to suck, folks.
And nowadays, with how things are,
episodes of this podcast are kind of embarrassing to me now, but that's how I got where I'm at.
Yep.
But with how things are nowadays, you can do this. I mean, all you need is a decent mic. Mics aren't they're not really expensive nowadays. You can have, and the reason I say like shoot for the stars, follow your dreams is because I've had naysayers. I'm not going to say who or any names, but I've had people tell me for the longest time, you can't do that. You can't do this.
Oh,
And
yes.
it wasn't for any
I've had
particular
people
reason.
told me that too. So I won't say any names either, although you both know exactly who I'm talking about.
But so that's why I say shoot for your dreams. If you want to do it, man, do it. If you feel like is in danger of sounding like Hulk Hogan, yeah, brother, do what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was right.
He was shoot for your dreams. Don't let anyone tell you you can't do something, because you can. And if you really want to, and if you have that passion, frickin' do it. That's really all I got to say about that.
Fair enough.
That is the genuine upside of the current digital world. I mean, the downside is all of the noise and stuff. The upside is the barrier to entry for getting yourself out in public is so low these days.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think if they're to add to the downside, is it like there's a lot of people doing it. You know what I mean? And you can
It's
keep
hard
this
to stand out. You have to really work at it.
Note to the editor at this point. Yeah, you can keep this part in or out, but the problem is that there's a bunch of people doing it, and they're all doing it for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? People are doing it to get rich quick, and life doesn't work that way.
Yeah, you're not unless you're very lucky, you're not gonna make any money out of it, but it'll improve your mental health. It'll make you happier.
Amen.
And it's fun,
Yeah, being creative is good.
It's good. I've never felt as fulfilled in my life as I have making this podcast. My standing advice, having done this podcast for almost a year, God help us, Ark. Find something that you're passionate about that there's a niche in. That's why we did Simuldub Saints. It wasn't an accident. People weren't talking about Simuldubs. I'm like, why isn't anyone talking about Simuldubs? So we kind of went and did it.
Oh, and you two gentlemen are pretty knowledgeable in what you talk about too, and that's another thing that's good. And you have love for it.
Yeah, well, LK's the knowledgeable one. He just drags me along to this, but
You know more than you think.
Well, about general stuff, but anime in specific, not so much. I have picked up a certain amount through osmosis. Certainly since we started doing the podcast, I've been thinking about things more.
Well, I'll tell you, like I tell a lot of other people that, like, when I'll come to people about like topics for shows, and they'll tell me, well, I know nothing about that. Well, sometimes that's the best thing. You know what I mean? Like, if you just watched it or you didn't care for it as much as I did, that's a different perspective. It's they're looking at it from a different angle, and that's really a great way to have a conversation.
Yeah, I mean, some of the more interesting podcasts I've ever listened to were people who their only thing is that they were curious, and so it's like, I don't know anything about this, but I'm curious. Why don't I find somebody who's knowledgeable on that, invite them on, and record it as they educate me? And it turns out to be very interesting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Learning is fun.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. In fact, and if you learn on the show or within like a recording like we're doing now, your reaction is like real. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, haha, I just learned something. Haha, I'm a bad actor. No, it's you're really like learning something, and you're reacting real time, and that means a lot to people.
You can tell when someone's fake and when someone's real.
Oh, yeah.
It's very clear in the way they talk.
Very easily.
Oh, yeah.
Well, on that note, I suppose it's time for us to move over to the news. Apologies in advance to editing Archangel, because my computer is still in the shop.
It's fine. It's, swapping out images is easy. It's if you want to do anything fancy.
I rarely do more than that. You actually did plenty on the episode you edited. I think you did a lot better than you think you did.
I guess.
Limitation on your software side, like, you can't do the moving background.
But yeah, like the cool shit you do for the award ceremony and stuff.
Oh god, dude, I only do that on the award ceremony because that takes an insane amount of time.
All right, well, yeah, so that is coming, folks. But
oh yes, as soon as my computer gets back up and running, I'm gonna go, we're gonna get the gears on recording that and editing that.
Yeah, all the awards have been decided. We've got it in a spreadsheet. We just need LK's computer back.
I swear, picking those intros and endings for the entire year of 2024 is
it was torture. We'll talk all about that.
We'll get into that when we get into that. But that's
okay. So news.
Well, we talked about the Simuldubs season last time, and we mentioned, what about the Hidive dubs? And I'm like, well, we don't have any information. I'm sure they'll announce it sometime. Well, sometime was like right after. So Hidive announced 2 new dubs, and we're going to talk about them. We will talk about the cast list a little bit, like the top 2, but if you want the full cast list, the link to the news article will be in the description. Feel free to check it out. I learned the hard way, if I spend time going through the entire cast list, it's going to take too long.
Yeah. Although props to Hidive for actually crediting people.
Oh, I know. God, they make this so much easier than Crunchyroll does.
Well, never mind our ease of use. People deserve credit, and also certain voice actors are a draw. Is the thing.
Oh yeah,
that's because Crunchyroll's the devil. So
I mean, yes, they're the evil.
It's run
empire.
by Sony, but yeah,
yeah,
we've covered that how many times now?
Between this podcast and Tsunami Faithful podcast, and
Sony.
We have buried that evil empire several times. So.
Yeah. If you're new here, suffice to say, Sony just generally is about as close to Arasaka from Cyberpunk as you're likely to see in the real world. So,
let's find everything you love and fuck it up.
Oh God, and they'll steal your mail too.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, before I go off on that tangent any further, our first Hidive dub is Loner Life in Another World. After getting isekai'd into another world with his entire high school class, God offers Haruka and his peers their choice of special powers so they can become fantasy heroes. But Haruka accidentally missed the power selection period, and now he's stuck with leftover abilities his classmates refuse to take. Seemingly underpowered, he makes use of his unwanted skills to live a surprisingly comfortable life as a lone wolf. But his classmates soon learn their superior abilities aren't as great as they're cracked up to be, and Haruka may have to come to their rescue using ingenuity, creativity, and leftover powers his classmates once snubbed. Yes, the isekai guy who got the useless power that turns out to be the most useful power. I've never seen that before.
Yeah,
I hate it when that happens.
It's a trope. It's all in the execution with this trope. It can either be completely obnoxious or it can be a lot of fun.
I'm actually interested because I've seen this done well, and when it's done well, it's very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the 2 key things you got to get right with this, from my observation, is the pro tag has to be not obnoxious, and the way that what powers they get and how they're employed has to be clever and at least somewhat original. If you nail that, then everything else doesn't really matter.
Well, I think we're in at least a little bit of luck if the voice actor for the main character, Nathan Wilson, is any indicator. Or rather, Nathan Wilson is the actor. The character is Haruka, voiced by Nathan Wilson. I can talk. Who you might recognize as Nor in I Parry Everything.
Yeah, so... and paired with frickin' Monica Rial.
Yeah, the legend, the woman, the myth, the legend, Monica Rial, a.k.a. Bulma in modern Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Daima.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure Zekai as well.
Yeah.
As class rep.
Yep. So presumably the leading lady.
Probably.
And our boy Adam Gibbs is in here. Someone named Tanaka. Excuse me.
Yes. I didn't want to go through the whole list, but when I saw Adam Gibbs, given the fact that he keeps coming up in our conversations, I had to shout out Adam Gibbs again.
I'm trying very hard to not make him take out a restraining order against me.
We love you, Adam Gibbs. Please don't be mad at us.
Yeah.
Give me a snippet of your hair.
Yeah. I am about 2 steps from building a shrine, not gonna lie.
He keeps coming up in his over face.
Right, that's the thing. It feels like fate.
He's absolutely amazing. And nobody talks about him, which is really sad because we love him. But anyway,
you're talking about him, so that's a good thing.
Oh yeah. But Loner Life in Another World premieres on Wednesday, February 12th at noon Eastern time. That's the other thing I love about Hidive. They give specific date and time. Crunchyroll, TBA until it comes out.
Crunchyroll, you can learn a few things from Hidive.
Oh God, please do.
One word: professionalism.
And now there's the other show they announced, which I will check out because it is a dub from Hidive. Whether or not I keep watching it, it will depend on the show.
Yeah,
this is not something I would have watched otherwise. But, okay, you know what, Eric? Go ahead. I did the other one.
Okay, so it's called How I Attended an All-Guys Mixer. So my first thought is, okay, it's another yaoi show, which is fine, but not my thing. But no. So here's the description. College student Tokiwa gets invited to a mixer by his female classmate, Suo. But when he arrives with his friends Asagi and Hagi, they're greeted by 3 dazzlingly handsome men. Turns out these 3 cute boys are actually women in drag, still in costume from their day jobs at a butler cafe that caters to a female clientele.
Color me interested.
Yeah, I didn't know those exist, but of course they do. Now that I think about it. Anyway, so as the 6 get to know each other, they soon find themselves getting closer in unexpected, heartwarming, and hilarious ways. Oh. So this will either be really good or it'll be really boring. And my money
really tacky too.
Right.
It really just
which is boring. But yeah, my money's on the former. Hidive tends to be pretty good at picking stuff, but then again, they have dubbed some really questionable things. Like, what was the BDSM one?
Oh god, Chain Soldier.
Yeah. So yeah, not guaranteed, but they have a pretty good track record.
Hidive stuff is always the off-the-wall stuff, and that varies. Usually it's really good, but sometimes it's really out there.
Yeah. I understand Chain Soldier was very good for what it was, but what it was...
Yes. I actually watched a couple episodes of that, but your comment on hentai applies.
Well, yeah.
A shining turd is still a turd that shines.
Yeah, this doesn't sound like... this would be a good hentai setup, but I don't think that's what this is.
They directly said that if you like Dangers in My Heart, you might like this. So
okay, that's an endorsement.
I'm going to give it a try. But yeah, our main character, Tokiwa, is voiced by Jeremy Gee. You might recognize him as Asahi in Renai Flops. And Suo is voiced by Jade Kelly, who you might recognize as Lum in Ursula Yatsura, the remake, which, oh yeah.
Nice.
That's going to be fun.
There's some talent there for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And again, full cast list in the description, and that cast list is actually very stacked. But How I Attended an All-Guys Mixer begins on Wednesday, February 19th at 12 p.m. Eastern.
I feel like the name is misleading.
I think so too.
A bit. It makes sense given the description, but yeah, it's a little misleading.
Oh yeah. I think that's kind of the fun.
One of those. Yeah, it's one of those funny titles. Speaking of funny titles, our next piece of news is mainly here for Archangel and for our buddy Darrell, who we need to get on eventually. I'm the evil lord of an intergalactic empire. Anime has a preview with more cast in a new trailer. And a nice little key visual. And my buddy Darrell, a friend of the podcast, and Archangel both have been telling me about the light novels for this one forever and a day. And now there's an anime coming. So we had to at least mention
you guys will see soon enough. TLDR, it is so beautifully stupid.
Indeed. And our last piece of news, we oopsied on our last episode. We missed 2 dubs, although hilariously one of them was in the credits. Dragon Ball Daima and Fate Strange Fake dubs have both started. We've mentioned Dragon Ball Daima's dub was coming January 10th before, so wasn't that big of a surprise. Fate Strange Fake, I saw it was dubbed somewhere, and then we saw somewhere where it didn't say it was dubbed, so we wrote it off. It's dubbed.
That's why it wound up still in the credits, because I couldn't be bothered taking it out. But
and I didn't take it out when I sent you the list either, because I'm dumb.
Right.
But yes, that dub did start. If you're a big fan of the Fate series, Strange Fake's kind of the what if we did it, but everything's wrong, basically. Like, everything that's supposed to happen is twisted on purpose. It's almost a parody series, almost.
Okay.
So those are interested in Fate Strange Fake, there you go. You're gonna want to understand the Fate series to get there. I have never seen a Fate show in my life, but I know way too much about the Fate series. I've read a lot about it.
I think I've accidentally watched 1 or 2 of them.
The main ones to watch would be the Fate Stay Night, or Fate Unlimited Blade Works, and also Fate Zero, which is the prequel. Those would be the main ones to watch. And then there was also the Fate Heaven's Feel movies. The interesting thing about the modern Fate shows is they've been done by a UFO table, which Demon Slayer love. So they tend to be very pretty, at least. But that's about it for news. And so
that's
now it's time. That's the news of the day. And yeah, we're doing a fun topic because we're not actually talking about a Simuldub. Today is our Simuldub Saints Confessions. We're talking about an old show that's really awesome. This came up because Wyldfyre was talking to me about it, having watched it. I'm like, oh, we love that show.
Well, you actually sent me a GIF on Discord with Kongming,
with
and I just started watching. I think I was 2 episodes in. I just started watching it, and I'm like, oh, I know this. I just started watching this like yesterday, and then we had a conversation on it, and well, here we are. We talked about doing a podcast on it, and yeah.
Yep. And Kongming is just, oh god, this show. Give me season 2 already, please.
I'm not. Is there more to the show, to the story? I mean,
it's a manga.
Okay, then if there is more to be, because the way it ended, I thought that was the end of the story. But if there's more to be told, yes, please, more.
The manga started in 2020, and the next volume is coming out in February 6th in Japan.
All right, so why don't I start? Because I don't know, Wild. How much, if anything, do you know about the novel "Romance of the Three Kingdoms"?
I've heard of it.
Okay,
yeah, I think this is an Archangel prop.
I knew of it. I was in that same boat before this show. After this, I actually looked into it, and I actually listened to a summarization, like a Cliff Notes of the story, like the whole thing done by a guy with a thick Latin American accent talking about 50 miles a minute. So that was an experience.
Jesus.
It was really good. I'll try and find it again. And
yeah, if you find it, go ahead and throw that in the description, Arc.
Right. Well, I'll send it to you because you're the one who'll post this. But anyway, so it is a novel. It is a blend, it's sort of a larger-than-life telling of the real history behind what's called the Three Kingdoms period in China. And don't ask me the dates, I forget. I'll put it on the screen as a caption. And so there's lots of these great characters that were real people, but are also better known as these semi-fictionalized characters like Lu Bang, Lu Bu, Cao Cao, all these fantastic, interesting people. So a guy who doesn't show up until like at least halfway through the novel, and I cannot remember off the top of the head, the guy that one of the Lords of the Three Kingdoms who hears there's this great wise strategist named Zhuge Liang, courtesy name Kongming, which is sort of like a general nickname, almost like a street name, I guess. That's just
like what my friends call me.
Yeah, so so Kongming is what the character's usually known as, but the guy's actual name was Zhuge Liang. And so there's this whole thing about how, and remember, this is like old school China, where he actually was sent away twice and he came back 3 times because this guy was so good and he needed him and so forth, and they wound up working very much hand in glove. So Kongming is basically the ultimate troll strategist / tactician, and in the course of the show you learn about some of a lot of the more famous things he did in the novel are actually turned into things in the show, so we'll get into that. But suffice it to say that in the course of the novel that he trolls at least 2 high-ranking enemies to death, as in he makes them so mad they have an aneurysm or something right there on the field.
That's amazing.
Having watched the show, guys, are you really that surprised to learn that?
Yes.
Yeah. And after he died, he knew he was dying. Remember at the beginning of the show, he was sick. So what he did was he had a dummy of himself made. And at this last battle, the enemies heard he was dead, so they're coming in for the kill, and then they see what they think is him off in the distance, and they're like, oh shit, it's a trap, run, and that saved his army. So that was his last gift to his troops.
That's actually fucking amazing strategy. Like,
Oh
what,
yeah.
like everyone thinks he's dead. Like, yeah, we're gonna win because he's not here no more. And then they see him like, oh shit.
Yeah, when he was in fact
Shit,
dead, but
Kongming,
he was in fact
ah!
very dead by that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's absolutely he's a magnificent bastard.
That's like a brain level 50 move right there.
Right.
So
great. This is like someone like Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice, or one of the characters from Shakespeare. This is a well-known literary character.
Yeah.
And now he is used as one of the main characters in this show, and I will leave it to either LK or Wild, because I've talked quite enough to explain the setup for this show, this story.
Indeed. I'll probably bounce around everybody, but I'll go ahead and get us started here. So Kongming, as Ya Boy Kongming starts, is dying of age. And he dies.
Disease.
And then suddenly he finds himself in his younger body in modern day.
Well, let's talk about that transition for a second, if I'm allowed here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the transition from
that is quite important, yeah.
The transition from where he died to like becoming almost like finding his way into the modern world.
Yeah.
It's almost dreamlike at first, and then he wakes up, right? And he's there, and imagine being from, I don't know, days long past, right? Mm-hmm. And waking up in a world where there's internet, people are talking on their cell phones, and little computers in your pocket. You don't even know what a computer is, right?
Yeah.
Imagine, I feel like the first 30 minutes or the first episode in general.
Oh yeah.
Just basically explained like how, because he thought he was in hell.
Quite understandably. We should probably mention that his last wish as he's dying to himself is he wants to be reborn into a world of peace.
Mm-hmm.
And so he wakes up in Shinjuku, I think, on Halloween.
All days.
Yeah, all days and all places. Like, one of the craziest Halloween parties on Earth is, downtown Shinjuku every year, or so I infer from this. So he quite reasonably thinks he's in hell.
It's Shibuya.
Shibuya, excuse me. It's one of those areas of Tokyo, so, absolutely bonkers. And especially since some guys say, hey, that's a great cosplay. And, here, have some tequila. And tequila, he's like, oh my god, this is torture.
The minions of hell know me by name, and they're here to make me suffer for my sins. I shall not fight it. Yes, torture me.
Well, because remember, he's a soldier, and, the soldier's farewell is goodbye, good luck, I'll see you in hell. So, he just goes with it, and is very drunk and just going with the flow.
One of the other things, I apologize. Okay, one of the other things that I want to bring up is that as we've this heavily based on music, which is something I love personally. I love.
Yes.
I've done music. I love music. I've made music. I adore it in every fact. But anyway, the fact that he says he's in hell, the first song he hears, he's like, "It's killing my ears," more or less. I'm misquoting.
Yeah, which is. Yeah, well, it's what is this horrible noise? Yeah. Which, to be fair, the song playing is not great.
It was like a really shitty EDM song.
Yeah.
But that's saying a lot. But he it's just funny because that's another reason why he thought he was in hell. Yeah. There's a really bad song playing.
Well, and he was drinking. I want to mention is the vocal performance of Joe Daniels, who you might recognize as Ozra and Helk or Gilbert and I Parry Everything, among many other awesome roles.
Yeah, and
this guy's been at it a while.
Yeah, and every bit of his talent and experiences on display here, because the way he plays Kongming has this it's a bit like Azudra. He has this incredible gravitas, but at the same time he doesn't take himself too seriously, which just makes him all the more formidable, because the security of this man in himself and his skills and what he wants to do is kind of intimidating, actually. In a good way.
Absolutely. And honestly, Joe Daniels nails it. This is probably where I first recognized him as a voice actor. I know I've heard him before, but this is where it first stood out to me, if that makes sense.
I know going into it, I had no idea what to expect because this was when I clicked it. It was on Hulu, so when I clicked on it, I was like, I want to watch another anime. I don't know what I want to watch, and I'm like, oh, your boy Kongming. This looks interesting. I read the description. I was like, okay, this is caught my attention. Let's look. And then, like, of course, like I said, the first episode is like paramount to get you in. So you see what we just described. He thinks he's in hell. He died. My first thought was like, I love this. Like this is so wacky and goofy, but also serious, but it doesn't take itself too seriously. That it's just easy to fall in love with. And Kongming as a character in that anime in the first episode is just one of those characters you can go, Jesus Christ, this is just good.
Mm-hmm.
I can see myself if I was this character, I'd probably be doing the same thing.
Well, yeah, no, and literally everyone I've ever known who's seen the show has that reaction to the show. This is one of those special shows that I've never heard anyone not like.
Yeah, I got to agree. So let me ask you guys this.
We watched it when it was being simuldubbed on Hidive a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I've showed it to my local friends. Everyone loves it.
Well, let me ask you guys this. And then I'll start with Archangel if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like? Because I went into it blindly, right?
Yeah.
When you went into it, did you go into it blindly, or did you kind of know what was going on? And after
I really
watching
didn't. It just LK puts together the agenda, at least to start with, for when we're watching anime, and then if none of us are particularly enthused about a show, we'll drop it. But so I heard this. It's like Ya Boy Kongming. So that way of talking, like it's your boy and this sort of thing. This show actually just disabused me of my hatred of that kind of speech to some extent. I'll say my boy, my girl, sometimes.
Your boy.
Right, but I didn't know who Kongming was. I'd heard of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. I knew a little bit of the real history, but I didn't know much about his part of the real history. So I had no idea who he was. And I was not familiar with his, because the way he's dressed and stuff, there's artistic conventions for how to represent all the major characters, apparently. Because, if you watch, we'll put the link to this other thing, these cute little animations, it's the exact same outfit. So it must be an artistic convention. And which is why, the guys recognize him when he shows up in Shibuya. And, it's like, hey, you're Kongming. And a lot of people recognize him because he's dressed like freaking Kongming. Everyone knows.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I had no idea, and it blew me away.
It's like someone dressed as Hamlet, more or less, like, or insert your famous literal character.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody dressed up as Luke Skywalker, you'd probably recognize him.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
That's a great example. So same question kind of to like what in your opinion, like, did you know about this? I know you're super big on anime.
Heard about Ya Boy Kongming before they started dubbing it. Friend of the podcast, Ampren and V-Lord and the whole Dumb Weebs crew, if you will, or Demon Slayer podcast crew, if you will, had mentioned it to me when it was just a manga. And I was just like, they tell me about so many manga that it goes in one ear out the other sometimes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Seeing that there was an anime, I'm like, oh, I've heard of this, and I've heard it's good. I don't know much about Kongming. I know he was like Arc. I knew it was Three Kingdoms, period. I knew that's where he was from. I didn't know anything about him. I didn't really know what it was about, but I'm just like, well, Hidive is dubbing this. I trust Hidive. YOLO. And it paid off because, this show is really special. I really had no idea what I was getting into when we started this one.
Yeah. There's a lot of heartwarming moments in it.
Yeah, I think it's best if you're. So first of all, if you haven't seen this yet, I would pause the podcast now and go watch it because it's best if you go in blind. And if you're showing this to somebody, tell them as little as possible.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, let them experience the magic themselves. Yeah.
It's also available on Blu-ray for not too expensive. I think I got it for like $30 off Amazon.
It's not too bad.
And this is one of those ones I had to own it.
How many episodes are in season 1? I forget.
12, I think.
12. Okay.
There's season 1, which is 12 episodes, and then there's the Road to Summersonia movie, which is a recap movie.
Yeah. Which, like, honestly, going into it, I didn't realize it was going to be so music heavy, even though I read the description.
So
I was
perhaps
actually
it's time
pleasantly
to.
surprised.
So perhaps it's time to explain where the emphasis on music comes in. So we talked about the horrible dubstep shit that's abusing Kongming's ears.
Yeah.
But
yes, eventually he hears music that is music to his ears. A songstress of hell has appeared and given him music that is just absolutely amazing to him. It's a freaking Food Wars moment. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, musicgasm. It's a blonde cutie with an amazing voice, dressed as a succubus. So or some sort of cute little oni,
demon of some sort.
Yeah, something. She's in the Western. She's got a Japanese like yukata or something, but all of her accoutrements say succubus to me. But regardless, she looked cute and very good singer. And of course, he's wandered into this particular club. We should mention what was the name of it.
The BB Club or BB Lounge.
That was it. Yeah.
But yeah, her name is Eiko Skimi. She's voiced by Juliet Simmons, who, to my absolute hilarious joy, is also the voice of Kano Yamanouchi or Nanotan in Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night. Basically the same character, I swear. And Kurome in a
similar, but not nearly the same.
They're not exactly the same, but
they're both singers. Yes.
Well, they're also very similar in personality. But yeah, Juliet nails it as Eiko Skimi, who is almost more of a protagonist than Kongming. Kongming's more of the mentor.
Yeah,
she's the character that grows and changes and learns.
He's got a Yoda figure kind of type. Yeah, it makes sense. He
may be in the title, but it's really more Eiko's story than it is his.
Yeah, and she's also a likable character. Let me put that out there.
Adorable.
She is one of the most beautiful characters I have ever seen in any piece of media, and I mean that in every sense of the word.
Yeah,
I agree. And you said that when we talked about Jellyfish, because we commented when we talked about Jellyfish about Nanotan, we commented on Eiko a little bit.
Yeah, I meant, yeah. So yeah, she's just, particularly when she's singing and when the crowd's responding to her, the way they animate her, it's just beauty incarnate. Some performers get like this; they just respond to the crowd and just become more than human in that moment.
Yeah, well,
and they captured that, which is very hard to do.
It's also deep in her heart because I mean,
well, that's what you need. That's what you need to do that.
Oh, absolutely. But look at what she does when she meets Kongming, who's been drunk out of his ass thanks to the minions.
Right. Well, let's back up just a bit. So he hears her sing, and so she's doesn't get a huge reaction from the crowd. So she works at this club, tending bar and stuff. But the owner, who we'll talk about in a minute, he also lets her sing and stuff because she's really good. But she's kind of discouraged as she goes back to the bar. She's like, well, no one seemed really interested, and the manager's trying to cheer her up. And who of all people but Kongming comes over to offer her his most sincere compliments. And she's a little weirded out because he's very old-fashioned and is in this weird cosplay and stuff. But she takes the compliment. And then, and she also isn't sure whether she's hitting on her, so she gives him the polite brush off. And so he goes on with his night. And then she encounters him again on her way home, where she finds him dead drunk, asleep in an alley.
Yeah. Oh, if that's not a red flag, I don't know what is.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a party,
It's your boy Kongming,
we've all had that experience one way or another.
Oh yeah.
But Eiko, being the sweet lady that she is like, all right, let's get you going, let's get you cleaned up. Where's your home? Home? Oh, okay. I'll take you to my place. You can get cleaned up.
Yeah, we can
take care of you.
Which is a hell of a risk for a young lady, I have to say.
Oh, absolutely. But it said she didn't even think about it. That's just who she is.
Yeah. Well, she's thinking, the proper thing to do would have probably been to call the cops. It's like, hey, can you help? Can you take this guy somewhere.
Most people would,
because she's thinking he's literally. She's probably right that he literally might have died of hypothermia because it's October
too.
Yeah, it's October in Japan. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But that sets that up, and Kongming hears her sing again. She's having depressive episodes over not doing so well, over not getting...
Yeah. And this is the point where he realizes he's not in fact in hell, and we have the obligatory, what the hell is going on? I'm a fish out of water type of thing, which he bounces back through quicker than most, because he's very smart and is just willing to go with things, but it's still fun.
When she's teaching him stuff in her apartment, that's fucking great.
Yeah, what's this?
What
it's
is
that
this smartphone?
Yeah, it's this. And then like, Eiko, what is this? And she's like, I don't actually know what that is.
Yes,
we've all got a few of those things where if you think, like, look around your apartment or your house, I guarantee you there's something hanging around that when you think about it, it's like, what even is that? Where did I get it?
And one of the things I wanted to address, when I was invited to this, was that it gets really real in the aspect of like the doubts a performer can have in themselves.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Being someone that does entertainment and likes to think he's entertaining, whether I am or not.
I'd say you are.
Well, thank you. But I think we all get those doubts. You know what I mean? You're only human.
Oh, absolutely. You've seen me express mine.
So seeing that in that actual show, when there's points where she's like, "Oh, I'm not going to be good enough," and she's down on herself, and it's kind of funny because Kongming are like two voices in my head, if that makes sense.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So you have that side like, don't listen to that, you're better than this, you got to go through with it, and then you got that side that's like, oh, what if no one likes you, what if no one, there's always that downer. So like seeing that in a show was kind of refreshing. It reminded me of like of how humanity works, how the human brain reacts to things, especially if you're an entertainer and you want to like entertain people. Seeing that was a breath of fresh air, because usually a lot of the shows that you can watch nowadays are just some guy who's just invincible or has all the fucking confidence in the world and has to be like either pushed back or beaten to the point where like he's humbled or she's humbled to the point of having that moment. But it was nice. It was a breath of fresh air to see something like that naturally.
Well,
you know what I mean?
People in general tend either towards just fundamental overconfidence or fundamental insecurity. I tend more towards the overconfidence in that, I just kind of assume, at least for things I think I know how to do, it's like, I keep going to like get smacked in the face. Whereas other people will just fundamentally assume that they're not good enough, and I don't know if it's a shrink could probably tell us more, but in my experience, I've never met anyone who really has a realistic knee-jerk estimate of their own abilities. It's always one or the other.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
No, that's a great way to put it. But yeah, she's pretty down on herself, and it takes Kongming to lift her out of it. And one of my favorite scenes in the whole show, where he realistically tells her how good she is at what she's doing, how she's helped him, and then he's like, "And I will be your tactician."
Which she does. It's funny because Eiko doesn't even know what the word means. To which I would say, normies.
Well, he keeps telling her like, more or less. I'm misquoting. Apologize for that, but he's like, "Use me, put me out there, coach." And she's like, and like there's one point where she's joking, if I remember correctly, and he's all excited, and she's like, "I was just kidding," or something like that, and he's like,
"Yeah, what was that?" She's like, I want to perform in front of like 50,000 people or something. He's like, "Okay, let's do it." And she's like, "Wait, I wasn't being serious." He's like, "Oh, but I was," or something like that.
Yep.
And it's funny because the drive to do it was there. This is a very real thing for me too. The drive to do it for her was there. She wanted to do it, but she was holding herself back.
I can absolutely relate to that.
You know, and it just took a muse like Kongming to come out and say, "Hey, you know," and like,
well,
metaphorically slap her and say, "Hey, get your shit together."
That's part of it, but the other part of it is, you know, someone who can help navigate the music industry, because I think the owner would have done that for her if he could. And he does know some things, but he's not really part of that world, whereas Kongming has the intelligence and, frankly, the free time to analyze, and that's a lot of what he's doing in the background, is he's analyzing and planning and learning and comes up with these ideas and then makes them happen.
Yeah, he's a tactician. That's what he does.
Yes, he is a tactician. Speaking of owner Kobayashi, voiced by the absolute mega legend David Matranga, who, if you don't know the name, that's Shoto Todoroki in My Hero Academia, and Tomoya Okazaki in Clannad, which is where I first heard him. I didn't realize it was David Matranga in this role, and I'm sad to not have realized it, because I love David Matranga's work. He's very protective of Eiko. He's like a good boss. We've all had that one boss that's actually looking out for you.
More like a dad or a brother than a boss.
Exactly. He's her boss, but he
seems to consider her like a favorite niece.
Yeah,
is how he characterizes it.
I think that's fair. When he learns about Kongming, the first reaction is, "Don't you dare hurt her. Don't you screw this up." And then the other thing is, "All right, Kongming, tell me about Kongming," because apparently he's the biggest Kongming fan.
Well, he's a nerd for the novel, is the thing.
Yeah.
And so naturally that includes Kongming. And so he just starts hitting him with, like, in-context questions about the, why did you send so-and-so to such or such? And Kongming gives him a straight answer. And the two wind up crying over it, because the whole situation was very tragic, as it turns out. But
what if like something like that happened to one of us? Like, think of that. What if Abe Lincoln came in and he's like, "I'm Abraham Lincoln," and we're like, "Bullshit!" And then he starts giving us facts.
Give me 30 minutes. I would love to talk to him. He was one of the smartest people America's ever produced.
That's why I said it like that.
Well, my first, if he showed up here, I would figure out where Doris Kearns Goodwin lived and drive him down to Lexington to meet her, because if you've never read Team of Rivals, anyone who's interested in the Civil War, you really should. But anyway, she lives somewhere in Lexington, I think. Nowhere.
The thing that hit me was when Kongming, before he's talking with the owner, but with Eiko giving him access to a smartphone, he looks himself up on Wikipedia.
Yes.
It's like, that's how they recorded that.
He gets excited at first, and then he finds out how his the team he worked for went, and it didn't go well, and he's depressed for a moment, and that hit me, man. That hit me. Imagine, you die for your people, and then you come back and you find out it was all for naught. That would hurt. But he does bounce back real fast.
Well, the sad thing is that life goes on without you, and in some cases there's a gap, and the gap that you filled will be missing, and of course things happen, and it is a really sad moment. I agree.
Well, and that's something that I do love about this portrayal of Kongming. He's not some supernaturally perfect person. He can be affected as well as anyone else. He's just really good at bouncing back.
His love for peace is really what gets me. Like you guys were saying, his wish before he died was to live in a peaceful world. Yeah. And I imagine just being surrounded by war, as long as he by was.
This portrayal, the way he and his lord, the reason they were fighting is for the sake of the normal people. To try and just, calm everything. It's like, the Cartman baby, let's just calm everybody down. Respect by authority. That's kind of what they were doing. Or at least trying to. And the other thing to keep in mind is this guy was not just a military man. He was a polymath, and a wise man, a philosopher, as was expected at the time. So, he's not just a soldier. He's at least more than half philosopher, I'd say.
As Mel Brooks would call it, a wise guy.
Wise guy, eh?
It's very applicable. Given his talent for what we now call trolling, that's more applicable, I think, than you meant, Wild.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, our first major storyline involves, if you want to call it that, because it's like 2 episodes, but involves the singer Mia, who is voiced by Rachel Messer, which is hilarious because I'm on Rachel Messer's Discord server. I'm not even kidding.
Cool.
But you may know her for voicing Nazarena in Ragnar Crimson or Shibuki Sayori in Alice in Borderland. But Mia is another singer who they go to listen to because, it's Kongming. We're going to do our homework. We're going to listen to other singers. And they go and check on Mia and her manager, who is voiced by Brandon Hernsberger, Mika Rosenhelk, and Perv Asshat in Eminence and Shadow. Good.
I still love that fucking name, Perv Asshat.
Yes. It will never not be funny.
It'll never not be funny.
Never was there a character that matched his name in an anime.
No, he's
as much as this guy did.
Asshat. He is.
Only Eminence and Shadow would have the balls to name a character like that.
Fucking love it.
I love how in Eminence and Shadow they say the name completely straight face. It's amazing.
Yes. Yeah. I want to know what I would love to ask, like Brandon and everybody else who was on that cast for Eminence and Shadow. How many times did you have to retake because people just busted out laughing? Not just from that name, but just in general. Like,
if there's a show I wish that we'd started sooner for, it's Eminence and Shadow, because that would be a really fun one to talk about.
That's a good one.
I dearly hope there's more coming in the future.
I mean, there's plenty of light novels going out there, so I'm sure we'll get a season 3 eventually.
Oh goodness.
But anyway, Mia and her manager, they go to see them after the concert and say, "Hey, thanks for the music," and Kongming actually pushes forward and be like, "Hey, can, actually, no, I don't think it's Kongming.
She comes to them.
So she sees Aiko as just some rando aspirant with a manager who's got a weird gimmick, and she's like, she's got an idea as to how to basically use her for this upcoming thing. And so she makes nice, and it's like, give me your number and this, that, and the other. And she texts with an offer, which is that she's performing at this place where, it's a club with a couple different stages, and then there'll be different artists rotating throughout the night. And what she wants is to basically stack the other stages in her time slot with nobodies so that everyone will come see her.
Yep.
But unfortunately for her, she's
Ya
given
Boy Kongming.
Yep. And he employs the what is it, the rock maze strategy or whatever.
I forget what it was called, but I love the fact that what he did. I hate to say this, but I started to see it when, because it's all mysterious. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
How he employs it, and I start to see it, and you start to see people going, "Well, we just went in circles. This is a restroom.
What's going on?"
I'm like, I know what he's doing.
Yeah. So Aiko's stage is she's on a stage in the middle of this circular area. So what Kongming does is he sets up the decor and the lights and even the bouncers and stuff.
Gives them
to make it hard to find your way back out. It's kind of like how a casino is laid out if you've ever been to Vegas or Atlantic City.
Or an IKEA.
Yeah.
Same idea, yeah.
IKEA,
Actually, yeah. Now that you say it, yeah. So the other thing
getting out of an IKEA is hard.
Yeah. Unless you work there are secret passage. There are not secret, but less obvious passages, so you can move around quickly, but you have to know where they are. Well, it's not even that. It's like, anyone can use them, but they're not obvious. Is the thing.
Gotcha.
They hide them in plain sight. Is the thing. So as far as I know, anyone can use them. So it's like if you go to IKEA all the time, people will be able to navigate. But normal.
I think
people,
your
so
Vegas
much.
casino analogy was probably the best one,
right?
sure.
Because it's it's certainly along those lines. So Kongming will starts luring people in with some free drinks, and so the manager's first like oh god is that his only gimmick? But no, once they're there, they wind up staying because they can't find their way out and they're a little drunk. And then, as Kongming put it, all that would have been useless if Eiko wasn't so captivating. And once they stick around for a few minutes and hear Eiko singing, they start responding to her, and that she in turn starts responding to them. And
the animation
she starts
on this scene,
yeah,
is some of the best I've ever seen. It does a circular pan of Eiko doing
it was
thing.
very,
she's
very
just,
impressive.
And
it
the way
is so
again,
beautiful. The
way they draw her, as you can tell, she is just I don't sing, but I am a public speaker, and in a much lesser degree, it is a rush, it is a drug when people start responding to you. So I can only imagine how much more intense it must be with a live performance of energetic music like that. And she's almost like, as Kongming expresses, she almost seems like a goddess in that moment. If you've ever been to a high energy live concert, I think you know what I mean. And there's that, and then of course the excitement draws more people, and before Mia knows it, she's singing to a deserted house, and she's all pissed off.
Yeah, in a way of speaking, she fucked herself.
Yeah, well, she fucked around and she found out.
Yep.
Well, my personal favorite is the manager.
Oh yeah,
is always like, practice your singing.
Yeah, because apparently she, at least at the moment, Mia's more interested in the gym than the recording studio. Which
that was
really
actually
go into that, but yeah, it's which is to her manager's frustration. So.
But it was funny listening to the manager talk shit too.
It absolutely was. I mean, they got the right voice actor. Both Mikaros and Pervasset are some of the worst people in anime I've ever seen. So this voice, Brandon Hernsberger, you know how to play a creepy guy. Good job.
Yeah, I didn't get creepy from this character,
this one is more just
a standard slime ball. Yeah, standard issue music industry person.
If you feel a certain way about how a character is acting, they're doing a good job.
So. Oh, absolutely. Totally. That's why I wanted to shout him out again, because legitimately between this, Mikaros, and Pervasset, no.
Yeah. It's hard to portray someone who is fundamentally unlikable, but who you still understand exactly where they're coming from, because we've all had difficult clients who we can't yell at.
You just have to tolerate.
Yeah. But following this musical victory, if you will, they're put into another adventure where they're now they're on a stage, but they're off in the middle of nowhere.
You're talking about the festival?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name.
Yeah, it's an outdoor music festival.
Oh, what was it? It was like a seasonal festival. I can't remember what season it was.
Right. It was a cool name, but
yeah. But this was also another really cool part, and I'll let LK continue. But I was hoping to get to this. Go ahead. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say more, so I was being quiet.
No, I said I was going to let you get to this. So
according to Wikipedia, local music festival. I'm like, great, that's helpful.
That wasn't.
But because they're up and comers. They're off on the side, middle of nowhere, and they're up against a more well-known band called Jet Jacket with their main vocalist named Rio, voiced by one of my favorite voice actors, Jack Stansbury.
The man.
Aqua Hoshino and Oshino Ko, and Ragna in Ragna Crimson. By the way, he's amazing in both roles. Like, holy shit.
He was good in this one, too.
Oh, absolutely he was. Absolutely.
Yeah,
and
it's
a small role in the totality, but it's actually very impactful.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very
As
important.
Always, he nails it.
Oh, I mean, it's Jack Stansbury.
And that group kind of came off as like a boy bandish kind of thing.
Yes, they did.
They are. They're very much that boy band energy, sort of.
And you want to talk
cross
about
a boy band with a rock band.
this is my favorite of the Kongming strategies.
Yes.
Oh my!
The strategy of
God.
creating something from nothing is what he titled it.
He makes it look like they have technical difficulties. So Jet Jacket takes it easy, and they do not do their big song that's hard on Rio's throat. And
he can't sing it 2 days in a row, or he'll blow his throat out. And they've got a much bigger concert coming up tomorrow. So
they play it safe because the opposition doesn't have their equipment working, so we can just kind of take it easy.
Yep. Which makes sense.
But of course, the equipment is working, and at a strategic time, they turn it on, and Aiko goes absolute ham.
Yeah, well, the hell of it is he doesn't tell Aiko that the technical issues are a bluff, because he's not above like yanking Aiko 6 ways from Sunday all around to get her into the headspace she needs to be in for whatever situation. And he's very good at
the best part of that strategy was that he let the opposition get like relaxed. They're like, oh, these guys, they're screwed. And then that's when the lights and shit came on, because the opposition's fandom was waiting for that one particular song that they knew that was hard on the singer's throat. And as soon as they realized that they weren't going to sing it, they stopped losing. They lost interest, right? At least everyone but the hard.
They weren't doing the big song.
They weren't focused, and that's when Aiko struck and just grabbed all their attention.
Yep, and that was just the perfect. It was just a great fucking strategy, you know.
Yeah. And once again, it fundamentally comes down to, from Kongming's point of view, if I can just get the eyes on Aiko, she'll do the rest, because he has absolute confidence.
And he's absolutely right. And she does great. Now, what I love is they go to confront Kongming, and they're like, you tricked us. He's like, I did, but here, let me make it up to you. And he gives them a remedy for the throat, which works beautifully.
Yeah.
Don't drink that could be poison. I'll drink it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the first thing he does is he actually pours some into a thing and drinks some himself before he even offers it to them. So, courtesy all the way around, and the stuff tastes like ass, but it really works.
And that's
I imagine it was like a hot toddy or something,
Oh, something like that. Yeah.
Who knows? And he's like, well, I put the recipe up on Recipe Pad or something, It's just like,
Well, and what this does do, what Kongming wanted, it caught the attention of a scout, a guy by the name of Tsuyoshi Kondo.
Yeah, much more than a scout. He is the head of the music industry in Japan, apparently.
Well, something like, he's not like VV head, but he's up there.
Well, he was described as possibly the single most influential person in the business at that moment.
Yes, that much they do say. Voiced very quietly by Josh Morrison, Budo in Akame ga Kill, and Rub Run the Red Dragon in Amagai Brilliant Park, or Amagi. My brain inserted a name.
Because Kondo starts doing this thing that I kind of hate, that some Eastern people do, where they won't talk to you directly. They'll whisper to their secretary, in this case. Voiced by Molly Searcy.
Yep, who is Akame in Akame ga Kill, and Unilord in Shy.
Yep. Very good voice actress.
And
so talking through someone else, unless it's a translator, I think that's just... There's power dynamics, and then there's stupidity.
Well, let me ask you this, Art. Do you think it was he did that more as a like, not a scare tactic, but like maybe like to agitate them, or maybe like throw them off their game?
Oh, absolutely. But it's just, it's like when it's almost like with fashion, where there's a certain point at which ostentation makes you look silly rather than good.
I'm just talking
in general. Now, in this case, yes, I don't know if that's his normal practice or what, but in this case, he's absolutely messing around with, Kongming, yes, but also Aiko, just to see what they're made of, and that's his job, as a promoter, is to see, who he's dealing with. So I don't hold that against him at all. It's just I was talking about the whole trope generally.
Because once they make their decision,
we should explain what the decision is he offers them.
Yes, we should. So he offers them two choices. They can either go with a another music festival that's of similar size, or they can go to Summer Sonia. But in order to go to Summer Sonia, she's got to take part in the 100,000 likes
Lollapalooza or something. It's a big fucking deal in capital letters.
But the catch is she has got to get 100,000 likes on her social media page, or she's getting nothing.
I think she only had like 100, right?
Yeah,
at the time.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, and it wasn't even for anything about music.
Yeah,
it was like a cat or something. It was her most liked post.
She said something like that. Yeah,
well, it was like a cute kitty that she saw or something, and that was her most
liked
post.
Apparently, only one singer's ever actually completed that challenge before.
Yeah.
So this is a gamble.
Oh, and it's an open challenge. There's a couple other groups competing.
People trying to get it as well.
And it's first past the post. Yep. So.
Yep. So it's risky, but she does decide to go for it, and that catches Tsuyoshi Kondo's attention, and then he says some stuff on his own, which is like, hey!
He literally claps and he says, "I think I have a celebrity crush on Eiko," which fair.
I love that.
Fair.
I love that.
Don't blame you, buddy.
Completely reasonable reaction on his part.
So now we got to get ready for the big leagues.
Yeah. So, but one other thing, just something from back when Kongming gets actually hired on at the club that I found hilarious that I wanted to shout out is
by all means.
when Eiko's first teaching him. Eiko's worried that he's gonna have trouble tending bar, and she's shown him the things, and then on the first night he's like. Seems to have like 12 hands going on, and she's like, "How are you so good at this?" He's like, "Please, this is much easier than making tea." Which, if you know anything about Eastern tea ceremonies, it's like, okay, fair.
Yep.
I thought that was
he's a
hilarious.
quick learner. I did like that too. That was really funny.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's so much cleverness in the writing here. So, shout outs to the mangaka.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't know the name, but whoever they are,
I will actually get that for you.
Very smartly written.
Yuto Yotsuba.
Okay, well, shout outs.
Illustrated by Ryo Ogawa, so it's a pair.
Okay.
Written and illustrated by two different people.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
The manga is being put out by Kodansha USA. I believe it is on Bookwalker, actually.
Okay.
I actually think we had the first volume.
Probably. You got a whole bunch of first volumes for free in a promo.
It was $1 each, but
same difference.
Yeah. But yeah, this brings us to now we got to work our way up to that. How do we do this? Well, Kongming says we need another member of the team, and he specifically thinks we need a rapper.
Which let me just say this: I wasn't a fan of the whole rapping part. Like that was the only part that I'm not gonna say I hated it.
I found it very interesting.
I didn't hate it, but I wasn't like it felt off. You know what I mean? I'm a very melodical person when it comes to music.
Yeah, I'm not big into rap. If you're talking about the actual rap itself.
The type of rap they're talking about isn't music as such. It's set to a beat, but it's a poetry battle.
Yeah.
It's a poetry slam. It's literally what it is.
I think Kongming's got the right idea that he's going to combine things together. Like I don't think the rap would work by itself, but paired with Eiko singing, I think it does work.
So the insight into that whole community and world was interesting, but also, I mean, the character we're about to talk about, Kabe Taijin, was a very interesting and honestly was the most relatable character to me out of everything because, for all that Eiko was having self-doubts and stuff, this poor guy, well, why don't we talk about him?
First of all, Kabe Taijin, voiced by Antonio Lasanta. You might know him as the matured form of Nebulum in Ragna Crimson, or Kaname in Dororo.
And absolutely crushed this part.
Oh,
as everybody on the cast did. But
absolutely! Like this whole cast is just fire.
There wasn't one VA that was just wasn't amazing. They were all fucking amazing.
Right.
Absolutely. I would say that Joe Daniels steals the show as Kongming, but I think that has more to do with the character than anybody's relative voice.
It's both. It was this incredible show-stealing character paired with the perfect voice actor. I don't think anyone could have voiced him better than Joe Daniels.
Completely agreed. Joe Daniels is Kongming. Let's just be honest here.
Yeah, because again, if you hear him as Azudredza, which is a very similar character in many respects, but this is even more so. He's the perfect voice for this guy.
But yeah, Kongming has decided we needed a rapper, a specific one. He's got his eyes set on Kabi Taijin, who was a really popular rapper. He did really good work, but at some point he fell off. And he stopped believing in himself.
Yeah, after literally passing out at the end of a show. And so when we say rapping, yeah. we're not talking about like making music and stuff. This is rap battling, where it's slamming each other and stuff, and going back and forth in the moment. It actually takes an incredible degree of talent.
I hate this reference here, but the best way to put it is like 8 Mile.
I would literally compare it to epic rap battles in history.
Yeah,
that's probably better.
This sort of community and this sort of thing, which is not just in the East, it's everywhere. I think it started here in America, but I don't know.
That's correct.
But the epic rap battles of history, it's taking that whole thing and applying it to history. But they certainly didn't originate it.
No, they didn't originate it, but it's a well-known variant.
Yeah,
That's
so
a good way to
it's that exact
explain
thing.
it. Yeah,
and basically he just couldn't take the pressure, and was having literally stomach issues. Like, it was almost.
I would even call them panic attacks.
Panic attacks, and I think he was also developing ulcers, like literally.
Yes, I think they said that. Yeah,
and Kongming actually noticed that, so Kongming challenges him to a fight at the BB Lounge. Just to see what he'll do. And he shows up, but he's not really interested in doing it. Kongming gives him some tea mixed in with some medicine for his.
He has Eiko give him a drink on the house, which is spiked with this stomach-soothing stuff that he knows about. And then Kongming basically offers him a challenge he can't refuse, and he rises to it. He's actually kind of hiding at the back. No one realizes he's there, but after Kongming lays the lines down, he's up on the stage like, give me that mic. And the tiger within comes out, and he's magnificent.
As much as I said I didn't like the rap part of this, that specific part there where they're going back and forth, I didn't even care about the rapping part. What I cared about was like a battle within itself. They weren't just battling with words. It was like their auras were battling. It was fucking great. It was really cool in that aspect.
Yeah, it was a visualization of what happens between two people doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. And someone else was there because Kongming is a beautiful bastard and had this prepared because of course he did.
Mm-hmm.
Kabi Taijin's rival, Sekitoba Kung Fu, voiced by Orlando Jones, Histoire in Food Wars, and Muhammad Ali in Baki. Oh god, I didn't notice that name until I read it.
And let me just say, Sekitoba Kung Fu is the coolest stage name I've heard in a while.
Absolutely. Sekitoba Kung Fu is like great.
It just flows.
But he goes, welcome back, buddy. I wanted one last battle with you. Let's go.
Yeah, because he was an OG. Like, he'd been at this a lot, and he's older, and he's been at this a lot longer than Kabe has. And Kabe had beaten him, and he wanted the rematch to see once and for all who was better, but Kabe quit. And he's actually been after Kabe. It's actually how we were introduced to him, was basically Sekitoba corners him and is like, dude, what's going on? And he's trying to provoke a response like Kongming was, but because he's having this stress in his stomach and stuff, he at first, we first see him responds very badly and runs away. So Kongming, not only knows how to get through his shell, but also is able to set it up so that he's able to respond like he really wants to deep down.
I also feel like we should talk about like the scene after where he talks to Mr. Kung Fu. He goes home. You get to see his home life a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. And he's living alone. His mom's bringing him food. There's nothing against that. I'm assuming a lot of that happens, but like you can tell he's not happy in anything. Like
he's
you
not
can tell
taking care of himself, not taking care of his place.
So it's like take the thing that brings you the most joy and take it out of your life. I imagine that's how you'd act, you know?
Right. And it's, he keeps thinking of, lyrics and writing down notes to himself, and then he's like, no, I can't, no. So it's he's in a very bad place, really.
Oh, yeah. Kongming is definitely rescuing him, for sure.
What you see there is the definition of depression.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
But
he's not, you can tell he's not really washing, he's not taking care of it. Like you said yourself, Ark, he's not taking care of himself.
Right.
He wants to do this stuff. It's in his soul, but he can't do it because his health. Or he thinks it's his health.
Well, it is, literally, because he was in that wrong headspace. And but the thing is, he stumbled into this whole thing sideways through some friends at school, where he just started hanging around with them and, bullshitting and, because these put-downs, they don't have to be, adversarial. It could be like, friends, insulting each other as we do. And so he's given the advice to go back to where it all began for him, which is under this bridge.
There are two stories going at once at that point.
Mm-hmm.
We have Kabe trying to work his way up, going back to his roots, and we also have Eiko trying to work on herself, and they both have a problem to overcome. I'm going to come back to how Kabe deals with it, but I gotta mention what Eiko's going through, because she's dealing with a producer named Steve Kito,
also known as Pudding Geezer.
Yeah, Pudding Geezer, that's what it was.
Yep, voiced by Jovan Jackson, who hilariously is a Nyanta in Log Horizon, and Ichiro Shido in High School of the Dead. And Steve puts her through the ringer. Well deservedly.
This guy is like one of the top DJs in the world, and so he's basically Kongming figured out that he's the one he wants, made friends with him, and then basically made a bet with him that if Eiko could impress him enough, he would, because Eiko's written a song that is going to be her thing, but she needs someone to actually put a proper music thing together for her to sing to. And so it's basically, he's like, I'll do this basically for free if you can impress me enough. So it's like a bet between guys.
Yeah, well, and if they fail, he gets Kongming for free.
Yeah, as his tactician. So, yeah, and he's very much an eccentric, as one would expect of somebody in that position. And he's rich enough and famous enough, he can basically do whatever the fuck he wants, and he knows it.
Yeah, was he just there visiting from, like, America?
Yeah, or
just for shits and giggles? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's Japanese natively, but he doesn't spend all of his time in
Japan. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. And so he's I noticed
he might be like American-born Japanese.
Who knows? But he could just have taken an American name. Who knows?
The whole idea is he was going places willy-nilly. He was so rich he didn't.
Right. Yeah, he's in Japan for a while is the thing. So there's a certain time limit on this, both from the contest and also shortly after the contest, he's leaving for whatever. Just to give you an example of his eccentricity, he sits in his chair like L from Death Note.
Yes, like Death Note.
I noticed that too. I thought that was fucking funny.
Oh, it was great.
That was pretty cool. Yeah.
So, and Kongming really does stack things for Eiko because he advises her when you go to meet him, buy 2 extra large size puri puddings, I think is the name of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And it turns out that's his favorite snack. So at least it gets him to actually humor her. And so he listens to her sing, and so he says, "Okay, as like a test of you're gonna sing this song by someone named Maria Diesel, who I don't think is that a real singer? Sounds like a real name, but anyway, too bad. It should be. So yeah, someone take that stage name. It's a hell of a name, but Anyway, so he says, that's a good rendition, but it's not your rendition. You need to go find your voice. She's like, what are you talking about? He's like, go figure it out. Get out of here.
Which is actually really good advice for singers, because everyone goes out of their way to sound exactly like the person they're trying to sing like.
Right.
As opposed to putting their own spin on it.
Yeah, and keep in mind, for all of his weirdness and stuff, this man is an artist among artists, and very much someone Eiko does look up to, and she realizes that. But on the other hand, she's frustrated because, like any great mentor, he doesn't give her the answer. He just points her in the right direction, gives her a slap on the butt.
Yep. Well, and I guess that's time to go throw back over to Kabe Taijin.
Okay.
While she's trying to figure out what she's doing, he's going back to his roots, like we said.
Yep. Under the bridge.
I absolutely love that he was a nerd.
Oh yeah. No, that's so great.
And still is, who just kind of fell sideways into this. Because, I mean, like, Sekitoba's got tats everywhere, and he's by all accounts, he's a street guy and so forth. Whereas Kabe doesn't have any ink. He's small, he doesn't look like anything. In fact, people routinely, treat him like dirt on the streets just because he looks like some scrawny nobody.
Yeah.
Well, Kabe goes back to his roots, and he finds out he's a freaking hero to his neighborhood. He reunites with his friend Sasuke, voiced by Cameron Nunnally. That's Joe in Level 1 Demon Lord and One Room Hero, and Julius in Arachna Crimson.
Yep. And this Sasuke, unfortunately, does not have a magic talking bird, but he is a pretty freaking cool. He is a pretty freaking cool guy.
Oh, absolutely, and he really does help Kabe kind of get back to his roots, get back to it, and give him his confidence back on it.
Because he was into this sort of thing before. It was kind of stumbling into Sasuke and his friends that got Kabe into this whole rapping thing, and he just turned out to have an insane talent for it. Whereas Sasuke's just kept going on his own, doing, live streams and videos and stuff, and kind of like us with this podcast, nobody's really paying attention, but he doesn't care because he's having fun.
Yeah,
and
I'm always happy to see people listen to us at all.
Right, and so he imparts that to Kabe. It's like, dude, why are you doing this? This is a game, and it is fun, and we are having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, I suppose that brings us back over to Aiko's side of things, where she is doing street performances alongside someone she found on the street, another street performing lady named Nanami Kuon.
Yeah, and again, it's Kongming who, not just Steve, but Kongming who, because one of the strategies he gives her 3 sealed things, and he says, whatever you feel stuck, open one of them, and they're numbered 1, 2, 3. And so number 2 is a ticket to a skywalk in downtown Shibuya, and also a street performance license. And so she shows up, and she sees this lady who's just sitting there singing, but she's incredible. And then she's jammed up with the cops because she doesn't actually have a permit. So Aiko pretends that she's her friend, and they start playing together and really hit it off.
Yep, and that's of course Nanami Kuon, voiced by Teresa Zimmerman. That's Saki Kawasaki in My Teen Romantics Comedy Snafu, and Amethyst 84 in Land of the Lustrous.
Yep.
And Nanami and Aiko become thick as thieves for quite a while as they work through Aiko's issues. That she keeps going back to Steve, and she's improving. He's still like, no, you still got to work on this. You still got to work on that. And she goes back to Nanami and picks up more and picks up more.
Nanami is like, that pudding geezer.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, Aiko's the one who names
so
him
funny
that.
How frustrated she gets.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's part of the. If you're not, he's being a very good mentor to her, because I think Steve sees what Kongming sees in Aiko, and so it very quickly it stops being just a random bet, and he's like, let's see what we could do with this.
What gets interesting though is Nanami has her own secret, because after one night of this, she gets a phone call and then disappears. It turns out she's actually the lead singer of a major band called Azalea, and she was getting contacted by her agent, Toshihiko Karasawa, who was like, no more street performances for you. Stop it. You're not supposed to do that.
Yep.
And the band she's a part of is one of the rival bands that's
trying
for the
to get
100K.
100,000
and
likes.
And the only one that Kongming thinks has a reasonable shot.
Yeah.
Yep. So, what's funny is Nanami doesn't just stop showing up at all. She does go to meet brain work please. Aiko. And she like tells her who she is. It's like, yeah, sorry, I wasn't trying to lie to you or anything, but this is who I am. I can't do the street performances anymore. And we'll see which one of us wins.
The story, what was the name of their band again?
Azalea.
Azalea, thank you.
The Azalea story is so sad.
The story behind Azalea is basically this. They're a group of girls who are really into their fucking music. They really loved, they did rock, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they got, then this manager got a hold of them and saw, I can say saw $, saw talent, whatever, however you want to interpret it.
Yeah, he saw, they are genuinely talented, but he's like, you know, look, your type of rock has a
talent.
Yeah,
part of a major talent agency called Key Time.
Yeah, yes. And he talks straight to them. I won't say he's mean for the sake of being mean. He just does not pull his punches ever.
No, he has his own story too, which you find out. But
yeah, so he's not an evil person, but he's not a nice person.
He's jaded. He's all business. He's jaded because the business has made him jaded.
Right, but he knows the business backwards and forwards, and he's like, "Look, you girls have talent, but the type of music that you're playing, you have a very small market cap. You're never going to be anything other than niche at best. If you come work for me, you know, play what I tell you to play, dress how I tell you to dress, perform how I tell you to perform, you will be megastars. You have to, because, you know, you need musical talent for it. You have that, and I know how to put that talent to best use, but you have to, professionally speaking, obey me in all things." And he puts them through the ringer, and what results is a very commercially successful product. But I'm not sure about the other two. Right, I'm not sure about the other two, but Nanami at least is really suffering because her artistic self is dying.
Well, and what's funny is Aiko, I keep saying funny, but what's interesting is Aiko picks up on that when she tells Aiko the story, which leads her to be like, I am going to save you with my music.
Yeah, this is like the ultimate example of somebody who I want to sing for. And that's when, ironically enough, Aiko finds her voice through that.
She has found her reason to sing. She wants to save people.
Yeah.
And that gets her back to Mr. Puddingmeister.
Yep.
And she's able to actually impress him this time.
And he's like, all right, come back here in like 72 hours and I'll have the music remixed.
And at the same time, Kabitaijin is having his match with Sekitoba.
Yep.
Which that was badass.
That was that one. Yeah. I'm not into rap either. I'm kind of like wild up for the more melodic stuff.
Yeah.
But that rap battle,
I looked at it just the same way, because the interesting thing is because it's poetry, they didn't even bother trying to translate it, which was very much the right decision.
Well, that was the right choice, absolutely. Yeah. Try and translate that, it wouldn't work.
Not unless you had somebody super duper talented, and even then I think it would fall short. But I just looked at it like, you know, I didn't even care about the medium. I looked at it like a sword duel or something in another anime. It's about two guys pitting their hearts and souls against each other in contest.
And in a way, through the animation, they kind of made it like that.
Exactly.
They did. They
absolutely
did.
And somebody who's totally steeped in this, for somebody who's steeped in this, they can understand what's going on, I imagine. But yeah, and so at the end there, you know,
the manager guy, Toshihiko Karasawa, was voiced by Blake Weir.
Oh right,
who is Abiko's editor at Oshinoko, that poor man, and Tao Ukagawa in Insomniacs After School. So he actually does voice some interesting roles. Yeah. There's quite a bit of variety there.
And his performance with this guy is actually very nuanced, much more so than you might expect.
It's very, very well done.
As a character, when you first meet him, you kind of see him as a villain.
Right.
Yeah. As you learn about him, you start to see there's a reason for this. Like, you see why he's doing it, and it's almost kind of sad.
It is.
It's almost, I mean, it's, you know, he's learned the hard way that this is how you succeed in this business, and he's doing it, you know, for his own sake, certainly, but also for the sake of the performers and for everybody else. As Nanami herself puts it, it's not just us anymore. There's a whole team around us. I can't let them down.
But yeah, Kabe Taijin wins this fight, and very cool stuff. He helps Eiko. They get working on their songs.
Just a side note, he doesn't just win. One thing I love is that he impresses Sekitoba so much that at the end, where it's because the way apparently these things are judged is it's like, okay, let's cheer for contestant A, cheer for contestant B, and it's basically by popular acclamation is who wins. Before anyone the MC can even call for the shout outs, Sekitoba just steps up and grabs Kabe's wrist and holds his hand up, in other words, acknowledging him as the winner, which is just such a Chad moment.
His last few bars, though, I had have done the same thing.
Oh yeah,
yeah, because because Sekitoba is, for all that they're very different people from very different backgrounds, they are both so united in that discipline, that poetic discipline, and Sekitoba is a person of deep respect. And very much, in the true sense, a man among men, I think, and so is Kabe, in his way. And so, I would, having learned about this character, it didn't actually surprise me.
I would even say go as far to say they weren't your typical rivals. You know what I mean?
No,
it was not. It was not rivalry. It was, I respect you, but we need to know which of us is better once and for all.
Yeah,
it's less of a Goku and a Vegeta and more of a like a Superman and Batman kind of a thing,
I guess.
If
they were able to go toe to toe, and they did,
in a rap battle.
Rap battle history.
Yeah, somebody make that. That would be interesting.
Batman versus Superman.
Yeah,
rap battle. Let me throw it to you differently. It's like the Rocky movies. Apollo Creed and Rocky are rivals, but they don't hate each other.
Okay.
That makes sense.
That's a very good metaphor. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense. I get what you meant beforehand. It's
I was trying to, but I didn't quite analogize very well.
In fact, you were saying exactly what I was thinking. I was using Goku and Vegeta in my head as a reference as well. So that was It's not a rivalry as in like I gotta prove I'm better than you. It's a rivalry as in like I respect you.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can outdo you.
Yeah, Vegeta's got a little too much anger in him for the
That's
comparison
why I said
to
it
really
wasn't
work.
Goku and Vegeta.
Yeah.
Although that changes over time, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But yeah, following all this, we get a name for Eiko's song, Reamer. Perfect name.
It was just me because she says it's gonna. Before she said the name of the song, she said like this is gonna be lame or something like that. I'm like, that wasn't really a lame name.
The working title was something kind of charmingly silly, like what was it? Something Udon Noodles Shop or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. She says I agree, but that's Eiko. She has confidence issues, but no, Dreamer's a great name. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just thought it was really cool, and the whole idea she got behind the muse that gave her the name of that was the friend she met off the street, the gal from the band that eludes me.
Azalea.
The name is Azalea. Thank you. The band name Azalea, the gal that she played with.
The final showdown between Eiko and Azalea is one of the best Kongming Beautiful Master moments I've ever seen in the whole show.
Yeah,
it was a little low down, but I liked it.
It was kind of weird, but yeah. So the thing is, the producer for Azalea, Toshihiko, he has this idea to do this big publicity stunt and basically, essentially bribe up the 100,000 likes. And so Kongming, referencing another incident from Romance of the Three Kingdoms where this guy who has it in for Kongming tells him to gather, like 500,000 arrows in 3 days, which he thinks is impossible. So what Kongming does is he gets together a flotilla of ships on the river, covers them in bales of hay and straw dummies of soldiers, and then he and the guys sailing them, they get in the ships, under all the straw, and they sail down the river past, was it Lubu's fortress, whatever the guy's name was, and of course they think they're under attack, and they shoot shitloads of arrows at them, blot out the sun type of things, if you've seen 300. And, of course, all the arrows stick in the straw. Thankfully, nobody thinks to ignite their arrows. But anyway, and so then Kongming just sails back up the river. It's like, thanks, and has all the arrows bundled up. But bundles up all the arrows, and it's like, it's okay.
Which again, that is a brain level 50 move.
Yeah, it's one of these things where, and keep in mind, Kongming keeps against these people, the same people consistently keep having to deal with Kongming. Is it any wonder that 2 of them have aneurysms or from being so mad and just die at 2 different points? It's amazing.
Yeah.
So in this case, Azalea is going to do a surprise concert at Shibuya 109 with a QR code to scan to get them liked, basically.
Yep.
So Kongming's like, yeah, but what if we show up and use our own QR code with blackjack and hookers first? But make them think it's you.
Yeah, just confuse the hell out of everybody.
Singing Azalea song.
Which is, that's kind of the down, where I said it was kind of did him dirty that he's using there, but it was smart. It was tactically speaking, it was amazing.
Yeah, it winds up with it's plans within plans, wheels within wheels, because what it winds up with is 2 pop-up stages facing each other and a impromptu battle of the bands.
Yes.
Yeah, Kongming initially had a plan to just break Azalea, but because he knows that Eiko's friends with Nanami, he changes his course and instead has Kabi Taijin basically provoke Azalea into that music battle. And so Azalea and Eiko basically have a battle of the bands, like you said, and oh god, it's beautiful. Yeah. What a way to have a final battle of the show. So
I absolutely love how close they are to getting the likes.
Yep.
And then like how go ahead.
I think it's actually Steve sitting in his car and watching the live stream, or sitting in the back of the chauffeured car watching the live stream, who does the 100, who puts in the 100,000th likes. Yes. And then he's like, well, that was fun. And the driver's like, to the airport, sir? He's like, yeah, let's go.
Did he say something like good girl or something and hit it? He said something iconic.
Forget, but yeah,
one of my favorite moments is the crowd initially starts booing Eiko, but Nanami's like, no. Let's have the fight. Because, Nanami does care.
Make it fair.
And Eiko manages to reach not just Nanami, but her 2 bandmates as well. And so they're like, we're going to change up the way we do things, but we're still Azalea, and we're still going to be here performing pretty well. And it's all very wholesome.
Lost that they're going to sing one of their original songs instead. And the beautiful bastard Kongming streams that, and they also get 100,000 likes.
Yep.
And what's funny is that there's apparently, even from their first days, they did have some really hardcore fans. This one young lady in particular who's just adorable.
That they can get real fans doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
This changes their trajectory. Kongming just casually changing lives.
Yep, as you do.
That's the beauty. Kongming comes off as like this. Whether you look at it this way or not, but he comes off as like this saving grace for everybody. And I love that.
He really does.
I absolutely love that.
He's the one that reveals the backstory that we were talking about. Like he's the one who straight up he knew Kurosawa's backstory.
Well, he looked into him, yeah. But I think it's also a story of healing for Kongming because he's been forced to put his talents to use in killing other people for so long, and the ability to put his talents to use to help everyone, I think, is really soothing to his soul as well.
Well, he kind of got his wish, if you think about it.
He actually...
It's a redemption story for him.
Yeah.
At least from his point of view.
Eiko at the end for getting to do his thing without using war. It's straight up there. That is where the show ends.
The very last shot is showing Eiko heading onto the stage at Summer Sonia.
Yep. Which I want to see that.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see more.
I want to see. I want to see more. I know there's more. I want it. Give it to me. Well, this show.
Yeah.
Oh my god. You want to talk about a show that I can recommend to basically anyone? This is it.
Yeah. This is something
what
very
I don't want to see. This is what I don't want to see. I don't want 7 years to pass and then we get season 2.
Yeah.
I want maybe 2 years to pass, if that.
It's been 3.
Oh well, then don't make me lose interest because too many anime does that.
Yeah, within how long was it between the dub starting and actual live cosplayers putting out a live action version of the intro?
Not very long. Yeah,
this show this show got traction real quick. So I'd be astonished if season 2 is not in production. So
I mean, they made the movie very quickly. The movie came out, I think, in 23, and then so they were very quick to do a movie, so they know it did well.
Right.
I can understand why it got traction. I mean, like I said, I was just a casual guy looking for anime to watch and decided to watch it, and then saw this masterpiece.
Absolutely, and I think masterpiece is the right way to put it.
Yeah, scoring this was a huge win for Crunchyroll. I think it made a lot of. I'm sorry, Hidive. I'm smart. Over Crunchyroll, because I think it made a lot of people aware that there's this other service that's doing anime in English.
And this is why Hidive is so special. Hidive will get you these sorts of things. Crunchyroll would never pick up something like this. The next closest thing to this is Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night, and that's also Hidive.
Well,
and the next thing something after that is Oshinoko, and that's also Hidive.
Yeah.
Hidive is
Crunchyroll does seem to have a very constrained vision of what anime is.
Well, what Crunchyroll needs to understand, and the execs, and heaven forbid they ever listen to this or anything that we have to say. Crunchyroll, remember what happened to remember what Netflix did to any video rental agency. If something comes out easier and better, you're going out of business. Mm-hmm. If you fight back against the fans, you're going to go out of business.
Hidive is not large enough to be a major threat to Crunchyroll, at least right now. They have a 10th of the amount of titles. But here's the thing about Hidive. The things that they have are much more niche and out there. Crunchyroll goes for the mainstream, and they get all the big titles.
Yep, and that's fine.
Hidive gets all the fun little things. That's where you find Clannad's, where you find Eminence and Shadow, Dangers in My Heart, Dark Gathering.
But okay, that's all it takes. That's all it takes is for a low dog, to do something that Crunchyroll isn't doing. And guess what?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't just want Coke in the market. I want Pepsi. I want Dr. Pepper. Yes, exactly. I want everybody. Is the thing.
Hidive was run by the company Sentai Filmworks. If you want to buy their stuff on home video, it's Sentai Filmworks. What's funny is, Wild, you know these people in a way you don't realize you know.
Do tell.
Do you remember ADV Films?
Yes.
This is them.
Just rebranded.
Kind of. ADV Films was bought out by a Japanese company, run into the ground, and killed.
Oh, that makes sense.
The people who worked at ADV Films left ADV Films and created Sentai Filmworks. And this was
with blackjack and hookers.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's corporately a separate company.
So basically old Blizzard.
Yes. It's basically... It's all of the people that made up ADV.
Oh, shit.
A separate entity.
Yeah. With blackjack and hookers.
Well, so the people who run this know anime very well, because ADV goes back to the early 90s, and ADV, like Crunchyroll, started off. Crunchyroll started off as a piracy site. ADV started as fan subbers on VHS.
Damn.
So ADV knows anime. And rather Sentai Filmworks, and therefore Hidive know anime. And that's where you get a lot of the more out there stuff. Their dubs are slower. They're a season behind usually, if not more. and they only dub a couple of things at a time. But the stuff that they put out tends to be really good.
As
and the
proof of what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and the crew of voice actors that they work with are absolutely top shelf.
Yep. Sentai Filmworks uses a local Texas to talent of voice actors, same as Crunchyroll.
Mhm.
In fact, you'll see a lot of crossover between Crunchyroll and formerly Funimation. But the thing is, they're on opposite sides of Texas, so there are some that are exclusive to one or the other, and then there's some that are both. Because Texas is big, you might have known.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're both in Texas, but they're on opposite ends of the state. So not everyone wants to go from one end side of Texas to the other.
So
you can't.
So your boy Kongming, I would say is like, if I were to rate it, I would say a must watch.
Absolutely. I would give it 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, and I don't.
Yeah.
The only other show I can think of off the top of my head that I'd immediately do that for is like Nichijou.
Yeah, it is one of these things that is, I there's other shows I would show first, but this is something I would show to my mom, and I think she'd enjoy it.
Yeah. No, this is a show you could show to anyone.
I went in with no expectations and went out like heartfelt. You know what I mean? Like it drew the feels out of me. And if a story of any kind does that, then I know it's a winner.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the fact, like I said, everyone I've ever heard of who's seen this show loves it. It is universally loved.
That says a lot. That says a lot.
It
really does.
I can't say that about most other shows. Like, even shows that I consider to be top tier, that's not the case. You will find people who hate on things like Dragon Ball.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's just, what's good for some people isn't good for others. That's just facts of life.
How that is. And I'm sure there's someone out there that doesn't like Kongming, but it's a very rare crowd.
I've yet to meet them.
I've yet to meet them as well. I statistically, it's somebody does, but
and for an anime that's based off of music, like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Usually when I watch something and like people start singing in Japanese, I'm like turned off. I'm like, I gotta read. Fuck this. That actually, I was still captivated because one, the music was good. Even if it was still good, even the rap segments. Like I said, I'm not a big rap fan. It turned me off. But the way, like Ark said earlier, the way they did it was just. It caught your attention. It was storytelling in probably the best form.
Absolutely. The only thing that even close to it, the two things, if you end up liking this show, that I recommend you try, is Jellyfish Cancel of the Night, and then Oshi no Ko, although Oshi no Ko's got some other things going on. And if you like either Oshi no Ko, and especially if you like Jellyfish Cancel of the Night, you'll love Ya Boy Kongming.
Yeah, that and like I think Arch said earlier, the title kind of like I was like, it's too.
The title is so what?
It's too urban for me.
Yeah, it was very much a what the fuck for me.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this.
But I've been won over so hard. I will say it proudly now. Ya Boy Kongming.
Yeah, he always shouts it, and it makes my head hurt.
I also feel like if we don't say this, someone's going to be upset. The opening theme.
Oh yeah. My god, the opening theme is fire. It is one of, if not the best anime intros I've ever.
Very well done.
I have listened to that song on.
It's very well done. It's very melodic. It's very nice. It's a very good song.
Strong intensifies. Chicka bomb bomb.
All right. Okay.
I don't know what else we could say about it other than if you didn't listen to us earlier and you listen to all this and you haven't watched it yet, go watch it.
Yeah, well, congratulations on having the show spoiled for you, but you should go watch it anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, seriously. Like, we can only gas this up so much. I don't think we do it justice. I think you should check it out.
No.
Yeah. It's on Hulu, and what'd you say, Hidive?
Hidive is the main place you find, but it is on Hulu as well. Which is not, I'm really, really happy Hidive's putting their stuff out on Hulu because their stuff needs to get a wider audience. It really does.
Disney.
Thanks, Disney.
Revenue is revenue, you know.
Yep, amen to that.
Well, and if you're watching anime on Hulu, may I suggest watching the 1,000-Year Blood War arc for Bleach?
Oh yeah, yeah. I gotta catch up on that. I think I'm still.
You and I are going to talk about that when you catch up on that. That's the next.
That's a good one.
I've gone for.
All right, sounds good to me.
Because Bleach has freaking never been this good. Never.
I've always been a big fan of Bleach.
Oh,
but
I love Bleach.
I
adore the show. It's never been this good.
Yeah,
it's been good, but it's never been this good. But that's another day.
I would always compare Bleach to like Kingdom Hearts as far as like more questions every episode. But yeah, like you said,
that's what makes 1,000-Year Blood War so good. Is it stopped doing that? Now we're getting answers.
Yes,
that's what makes that so good. Anyway,
okay.
I think it's time for us to start moving our way out. So, Ark, why don't you tell us about today's sponsor?
Okay, so today we are sponsored by specifically the autocannon division of General Motors. So, dating back to 20th Century Terra, believe it or not, that's how old this company is. For over 1,000 years, I shit you not, General Motors has been among the very finest manufacturers of vehicles of all sorts and accessories for same. From ground vehicles to battle mechs and everything in between, insist on GM quality. And specifically, today we're being paid to focus on GM's autocannon division because, I mean, it's best known for the AC-5 in the Marauder, which comes straight out of them, which, of course, the Marauder is a GM product. But, I mean, when you need to deal rapid amounts of metal into somebody's face from a distance, I mean, you can't do any better than a GM quality autocannon. They're favorites of everybody in the Federated Suns, and if anybody knows autocannons, it's the frickin' Fed Suns. So yeah, GM autocannons, because fuck that guy in particular. So it's stepping out of character for a minute. So in BattleTech, which is what we're referencing here, the company of General Motors, also Mitsubishi, still exists, you know, over 1,000 years into the future and way out into space, and actually make some of the best known battle mechs. The Marauder in particular is a GM product. It's funny. They also, a few years ago now, by the calendar, invented commercial fusion power. So everyone was very disappointed with them in real life when they failed to do that. So, you know, get on it.
Wow.
But there's that. The other thing to note as well, as far as I know, in real life, GM does not have an autocannon division. If you want to see a real life version of what I just pitched to you, go look up the Italian company Leonardo. And if you are an aficionado of firepower, bring a change of underwear in a good way.
Oh my.
Yeah.
As in you're gonna cream your pants.
Exactly,
No.
yes.
All right, well, I think it's time for us to start getting out of here. So, as I mentioned, we're going to give you an opportunity. Where can the people find you?
You can find us on YouTube at NITNSE, that is Nerds and New Sexy Entertainment. On YouTube, on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Twitch, Kick, and Facebook. Jesus Christ, I've got way too much social media. But yeah, all of that, probably even more that I can't think of right now. But yes, we even have a Discord. But yeah.
Oh yes, the Nerds New Sexy Discord is a place you can find me. I don't think, Ark, are you on that one? I don't know if you're on that one.
I haven't.
Baby.
I should invite you just for shits and giggles, but I try not to mass spam that shit, you know?
Yeah, I'm not really. I PM people and I post occasionally on Nerd Funhouse, but that's about it.
Yes, the secret garden of Nerd Funhouse.
Yeah, and then there's another friend server where I post Rick and Carl memes because I love puns, but
I also like the Rick and Carl memes, so...
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, if you have a channel for that, I'll start posting in yours as well.
Oh, you got him. You lured him with the Rick and Carl.
We have a meme channel. But...
Because our other friend, Master Kosuke, actually has, a private server has a channel specifically called Rick and Carl.
It's
Hey Carl, actually, is the name of it, yeah.
Some of like the laugh out loud memes I've ever seen were the Rick and Carl memes.
It's the perfect format for puns.
But yeah, seriously, if you have not checked out Nerds New Sexy Entertainment, I highly recommend it. I have guested on there many times at this point.
Even Ark has.
Yes, Ark has been on that one. Yes, you have.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So, yeah, you can hear us. Yeah, if you want to hear me and Ark, there's a CFVs episode. Go check it out. Because the three of us are pirates, actually, as it turns out. Yar har.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely check that out. Wyldfyre is a big friend of this channel. Nerds New Sexy is a friend of this channel. We love you guys quite a bit. And happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here, guys. Always appreciate the time to listen to myself talk.
I feel that. Well, Ark, outside of Oscar the Grouch's trash can, where can the people find you?
So mostly I've been in Sheffingham lately, though I've also spent some time in the Coronis Expanse, but mainly I am gearing up to open a new branch office in Kuttenberg in a couple of weeks. Because Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is coming out, and yeah, I'm not going to see daylight for a month. Yeah, I am not sorry. I've been waiting for this we've been waiting for, how long has it been since KCD1? It's been a minute. I need it. Daddy needs his medicine. So, yeah. I mean, I'd been, waiting on eggshells. I'm as confident as I can possibly be that it's going to be good. They gave a key to Mac from Worthaby to preview it, along with all the other shills and stuff. And, the usual suspects. And he is over the moon. So if they impressed him, yeah, it's going to be fine. Because Mac is the grouchy old man of the internet reviewer community, and one of the few people who, I usually disagree with him these days, but he's like him and Kill are like the two people who regularly review games who I'm 100%, who I'm 100% sure are not on the take. I'm sure there's others, I just don't know them. So, anyway, that's me.
Anywho, as for me, you can find me on Twitter at LaserKidPrime. You can find me on the blue sky at LaserKid, because I got in there fast enough. And you can find me on the Toonami Faithful podcast, where Ark and I will be talking about Invincible Fight Girl very, very soon. And we recently talked about Mashal with that crew. We kind of turned you into a regular guest, Ark.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't have to do the editing, so whatever.
Down the rabbit hole.
That's poor Sketch's job.
Yeah, well.
But yes, that's where you can find me. As for the Simuldub Saints podcast, you can find us on YouTube at Simuldub Saints, on Spotify podcast / Anchor at Simuldub Saints, where we push out to a ridiculous amount of podcast platforms. And 11. You can find we don't know how to do them all, but we do a lot of them. We also are on Twitter and the Blue Sky at Simuldub Saints, so have at us anytime. We will respond. So yeah, that's where you can find all of us. Well, that about does it for this week's episode of Simuldub Saints. Thank you all for putting up with us for being a little behind. Thank you for putting up with us for being low on editing. Thanks to my computer being in the repair shop still, but we appreciate your viewership, and we'll catch you later.